I'll just start with my own presentation as he does it with the PPT. I think there are I'll just show certain patterns in terms of conflicts. First is conflict is an eternal ally of mankind's civilizational excellence. So conflicts are here going to stay. But we see certain shifts in the pattern of those conflicts. First and foremost, we find that the conflicts between states are coming down, and at the same time, conflicts between states and non-state actors are going up. And probably in the future, we might also see a situation where non-state actors would start fighting with each other. A little bit of that is visible in the Syrian and Iraqi theater right now. Secondly, I think Asia today is the hub. Asia today is an area of convergence for a lot of reasons. First, if you look at the combined GDP of all the Asian economies today, it's a little shade less than European Union. And tomorrow, probably in the future, it's going to eclipse United States and Europe altogether. Asia for a long time had been a manufacturing hub, a supplier of raw materials. Today it's gradually becoming the market itself. Secondly, Asia is a reservoir of all kinds of natural resources, including oil. But at the same time, when you talk about conflicts, when you talk about non-state actors, all of that violence, majority of that, is happening in Asia. So Asia is critical to the world today for a lot of reasons, economic reasons and otherwise. Now, when you talk about terror attacks, there is a shifting pattern in terror attacks as well. There was a time when terror attacks were random. Then they started targeting military installations. And eventually, Al-Qaeda and other organizations started hitting critical economic infrastructures and energy infrastructures as such, because there is a strong long-term ramification of attacking an infrastructure of that sort on the economy of a country. So there were I'll just show a couple of attacks where it was visible how determined they are to attack energy infrastructure. One of the biggest terror attack which happened, which was probably thwarted for good reasons, in Upcake in 2006, where Al-Qaeda attacked Saudi Arabia's biggest refinery and oil hub, which is in the area of Upcake. And if they had been successful in doing that, it would have had a major impact in terms of oil supply from Saudi Arabia. Not just once, they did it twice, and twice it was thwarted. Later on, unfortunately, they succeeded in doing the same in Algeria. Now, this pattern of attacking, oil installations is not something new. Something like that have been happening in a place called Cano Limon. If you look at the Cano Limon pipeline in Colombia, it has been, attacked more than 950 times in 1980s. So when we talk about a pipeline like a Tapi coming across the Afghanistan area, and if you look at the number of possibilities over there in terms of terror attacks, even if 10% of that kind of terror attack happens in that region, our energy security is in dire strait. So my basic point is that when it comes to today's interdependence in terms of globalization, in terms of energy requirement, the energy security of a country to a great extent today depends not just on the internal security of your own country, but that also of the transit countries through which your pipelines or power grids are coming, and also the supplier country from which you are procuring. Now, this is one, pattern with which the whole world got used to, unless ISIS came in, and that's probably what I'm going to talk a little bit about. Now, here is a non-state actor which is aspiring to have a state of its own. And it is not, surprisingly, it is not going ahead and destroying oil installations or energy installations. It is very intelligently taking them over and trading with it. And there are countries probably in the world today which are buying through the black market the oil that ISIS is selling. So it's a shift in pattern which the world is not the world has not yet realized how to deal with it. Now the situation is such today, if you look at their present plan and what kind of plans they have for the future, it's a threat, and we can't just discount that threat. But at the same time, if you look at the amount of money they are making today, it's very different from the manner in which terror organizations in the past used to make money. Today, ISIS, in certain estimates, is making $1 million a day by selling oil. They have changed their name from ISIS to an Islamic State. They have an aspiration to become a state actor from a non-state actor, and they are selling oil at not only taking care of the oil requirements of the places where they have their own authority now. They are also selling it to the black market to the level of, say, $25 a barrel, which countries like Turkey through black market, they are willingly, happily take over. Now, if somebody sells you oil in today's environment at a huge discount, You don't literally care who is selling it to you so long as you get it. Today, the world has actually got used to the concept of Taliban having its preeminence in Afghanistan. Possibility is very high that today or gradually, people will accept ISIS in the whole region of northern Iraq and northern Syria. Now, the situation today is to that extent bad that United Nations had to take cognizance of it, and probably very soon they're going to pass a motion, because in the United Nations Security Council, Russia submitted a draft statement on 28 July that would ban crude oil sales by terrorist organizations in Syria and Iraq and potentially sanction anyone that does business with them, which means it is happening. So you have a situation today where everybody knows that the kind of plan they have, the kind of brutality they have, the kind of determination they have, the kind of professional training they have, because you have in areas in Mosul where only 1,000 ISIS people went in, decimated divisions of Iraqi army. They have the motivation, they have arms, and they have the training. So they're coming to destroy you, and at the same time they're selling oil to you. And you're buying it because there's too much scarcity. So today, the situation is such that I'm just stating a statement which was passed in the United Nations Security Council. They have not yet discussed it, that the statement from Russia said that it strongly condemns any engagement in direct or indirect trade of oil from Syria involving terrorist groups, and reiterates that such engagement constitutes financial support for entities designated by the Security Council as terrorist, which means more or less, we don't know the name of the countries as such, but a lot of people are actually buying the oil. Now, that means that there is another shift in pattern, as I said, that people are willing to trade. But today, when we talk about non-state actors and the threat that they pose to us, the threat is not just about non-state actors going ahead and destroying or trying to attack states. The threat is also about the competition that is emerging between the non-state actors themselves. I'll just come a little later to that. If you look at what ISIS has been claiming, that they are going to destroy all the Emirates, possibility is very high that tomorrow, if they succeed in taking over Qatar or UAE or, say, Saudi Arab as they plan, they might not destroy the oil assets, they might just trade with the rest of the world, which means the world might not bother very much, because the real concern of the world is energy security. And if they say that, no, I'm assuring you that I'm not going to create disruption for the energy security, there's a very high possibility world will accept ISIS in Middle East as the way people have accepted Taliban in Afghanistan. We know what's going to happen in Afghanistan after the Americans exit. Now, the bigger worry is, today something that we should think about is that the emergence of ISIS and the phoenix-like rise of them, the way the propaganda machinery works, if you are aware in the social media what's happening, it has captured the imagination of everyone. Now, for terror organizations, they survive on propaganda. They survive on how much mind share you get out of your mind. Now, the thing is, it has completely eclipsed Al-Qaeda as a terror organization. So the biggest fear today for countries like India is not about ISIS, but because of the competition about preeminence of who is the biggest terror organization in the world, who would hold the sway, given the fact that a lot of terror organizations, militant organizations in Pakistan and other regions are owing their allegiance, giving their allegiance towards, shifting it towards ISIS. There is a strong possibility, unfortunately, that Al-Qaeda might come out with something spectacular to prove that it is still in the fray. And given the fact that oil installations, energy assets are spread over physical environment, hitting them is very easy, because you cannot keep on securing every meter of it. The Cano Limon pipeline, as I showed in Colombia, it's a very difficult environment, very difficult terrain. You have very powerful organizations, left-wing extremist organizations running with drug syndicate money. So the situation today is, as I said, there's a pattern. There was a time probably in 14th, 15th century where you had mercenaries fighting it out for the empires. Then you had the states fighting it out with each other, with their own army. Then you had the proxy wars, as you see now happening. A little bit of that is visible in the Ukraine theater. Most of it visible in Middle East, where you have proxies fighting it out on behalf of states. And we know what is happening in the Af-Pak region also, or what Pakistan does in India. Tomorrow, as we see the emergence of ISS as shown, each of them have a tendency to become Frankenstein, and they then become too powerful to take over the masters who created them. There is a competition coming out between these terror organizations about who is the biggest among them. And I think the world has to take care of that. The threat today is because of that. ISIS is a different kind of organization coming up, which they are saying that we are not going to disrupt the oil supply. What Al-Qaeda will do, we don't know. But today's threat and the emerging threat in the future, I think, is because of competition between non-state actors fighting with each other, because of which we would be having disruptions. So I'll keep it very short and simple because there are a lot of panelists. They have given a lot of things. I'll keep it here, and thank you so much.